Welcome back everyone to One of the Nation's Rage. This is a Let's Play Part 3 of the Old Stream Farm, or what I like to call bumpkin farming, until I'm able to do some upgrades. We're picking up right where we left off the last video. In fact, it's still night. I'm going to drive up here into the woods and go ahead and call it a day. I know it's kind of weird that I'm calling it a day at the beginning of the video, but I'm literally starting right where I left off. That way you're not missing too much of anything. I'm trying to locate. Alright, I'm seeing it now. Should have took a right. Alright. Go ahead and cut the tractor off and the lights. Ooh, it's dark out here. Alright, and we will go to sleep. Alright, early to bed, early to rise. I need to learn this this little road system. Looks like there's a tree right in the middle of the road. But yeah, I need to learn how to make my way through these woods. That is actually a tree. It's what's left of the tree that I cut down. I never did anything with it from the other day, so I guess I'll take care of that real quick. Yeah, it doesn't need to be laying right in the middle of the path. That's not good. In fact, you know, while the sun is still coming up, I could throw this tree into the tipper and go up there to the sawmill and sell it. That is an option. That's while I'm waiting for the sun to come up. I might do that just to make a little bit more money, start the day out with earning some money. Doesn't that sound nice? If I can get out of the woods. I feel like following these little dirt paths isn't getting me very far, so I'm just gonna have to trek my way out of here. It's kind of hard to tell in the dark. It is pitch dark out here. Wow. Alright, finally. Let's get this tree out of the way. If it doesn't fill the tipper up, I might just leave it for now, since I'm not gonna be using the tipper for anything anytime soon anyway. I'm just probably gonna leave it for now, honestly. Makes more sense. And I'll just fill it up as I cut down trees. And I'll start working on cutting down these trees as soon as I get done working in the field and I'm waiting on the crop to grow. That's peculiar. I shouldn't have leaves on it still, or branches. And I've actually thought about other options as far as transporting the logs to the sawmill. I could lease a bigger trailer. That's an option, but I have to keep in mind that, you know, these tractors are only going to haul so much. They're not very powerful. They're just small tractors. So if I did that, I would have to lease a larger tractor, perhaps even a semi truck, to get the logs up to the sawmill. And right now, that might be a good future endeavor, but right now it's probably not the best idea because my funds are so limited at this moment. So I think right now I'm just going to stick to the plan that I originally had. Is that the whole tree? Can't tell. Anyway, I think I'll leave. I think I will leave the tipper out here in the woods for now. Uh, there's really no point in bringing it back out at the moment, so we'll just leave him out here. And we'll head on over to the store to pick up the lime spreader, which is actually just a fertilizer spreader, but you know, it doubles as a lime spreader. The fertilizer spreader that I purchased was a lot cheaper than this particular spreader that I'm talking about, but it does not have the option to put lime in it, so I'm gonna have to lease this one, which isn't good. I kind of should have thought that through a little bit better whenever I was purchasing everything, but I didn't really think about it at the time. So I'm gonna have to lease. Until I can afford to buy one of these, I'm just gonna have to lease one each time it needs to be done. I think you have to lime your fields every 4 harvest cycles. You have to add lime. I think it's something like that. So it's actually going to be here. If you see down there with the little plant that looks like it's coming up out of the ground, it has the little lines going underneath it and on both sides. If you watch it, an icon will pop up when I do that. Yeah, that little crystal looking icon, that's lime. So the one that I bought does not have the option to add lime. You have to get this one. And I am going to lease it. Thankfully, this is a lot cheaper. Well, it's not a lot, but it's a little bit cheaper than that loading wagon I had to lease. Of course, it does go up as you add various things to it, which I really don't think is necessary with what I'm doing. You can also add an extension, which makes it spread a lot further. Add 6 meters to the initial spread of it, so it goes from 12 to 18. I'm just going to stick with the 12. I'm going to keep things basic for now, and I'm going to go ahead and lease this. And I have to buy the lime too, of course, so we'll worry about that when we get outside. Go back to the tractor, come around to the back here and pick it up. My goal in this episode is to get the field ready so that I can start working in the woods, cutting down the trees, and basically waiting on the crop to be ready. Like I said before, I'm going to have to keep up with fertilizing the crop as it grows, as well as keeping the weeds under control, which isn't too hard to do as long as you're paying attention. As soon as they pop up, they need to be taken care of. So the lime is $450 per 2,000 liters. I'm going to buy a couple of these. I don't know that I'm going to be using all this lime. I might end up with some left over, or I might need to buy more. I don't know. It's like I'm going to get this done just in time as the sun comes up, though. Alright, so we'll start out with 4,000 liters and we'll see if that's going to be enough. I don't want to buy too much. We'll go ahead and get started here. Alright, so it turns out we're going to need a lot more lime than I initially expected, but I'm glad that it is fairly cheap. It's not super cheap, but it's not as expensive as fertilizer. So one thing I was thinking about is that most farmers, I'm sure, are fairly independent. Independent people that don't generally ask for help unless they absolutely have to. That's what I think about when I think about a farmer. But, you know, as I was sitting here filling up this trailer with lime, I happened to notice that there are some sheds sitting here. And there's nothing in these sheds. They're just kind of sitting here. And they just so happen to be right on the edge of my property. My property starts not there. My property starts over here on the other side. See, if you look on the map, you'll see me moving around there. Then you'll see my home icon where I'm living in the woods there. And then my field directly on the other side, field 22. So what I was thinking is I should go inside this place. I should talk to the people. And I know that in real life this would probably never happen. But I'm going to go in. I'm going to talk to the owner of the store. And since I've purchased so many products from them in the past couple of days, I'm going to ask them if they mind if I keep my equipment in one of those sheds. Probably the one on the back side, just there. I'm going to talk it over with them, see what they say. See if they mind. When it all comes down to it, there's really nothing they can do about it if I do put my vehicles over there. But let's have a little chat with them real quick. Okay, I just had a little chat with the owner of the store. He says that the reason why they have those sheds over there is simply because they're on display. They have the coverings, and then they have these sheds over here as well. They're for sale. They're just to use as an example, to show people, you know, their dimensions, the material, the quality of the design itself. So basically you can go out here and you can look at what they have available, part of their catalog, and therefore decide if it's something that you want to purchase or invest in. And then I made the comment to him, well, wouldn't it look better if it actually had equipment under it and it wasn't empty? That way people could see, you know, perhaps what their equipment might look like if they purchased the shed. So basically, I just talked him into it. So he's going to let me keep my stuff over here until I get a shed. And I also told him, you know, eventually, you know, when the farm starts growing and my equipment collection gets bigger and everything else, I'm going to purchase sheds from you, from your store, just like I've purchased everything else. I reminded him of that. So basically, I've got a covering now. It's going to be that one there. I'm going to keep my equipment under that shed from now on. I'm going to get it off the hillside over here. So that's going to help me a lot as far as keeping my equipment in good condition and whatnot. So from now on, that's what I'm going to be doing. But first, I'm not going to worry about moving everything over there. First, I'm going to be worrying about this field and getting it ready. So I'll continue to spread the lime here. does it. I have some left over after all. I could have went without that last bag that I bought, but oh well. At least I got a free shed temporarily out of the deal. So I will go ahead and return this. This one I have actually spent an hour. Actually, no, I can't tell how much time I've spent operating this. That's the tracker. That says 1 hour, so we'll go ahead and return it anyway. Alright, next thing we need to work on is plowing the field. And I will admit it, I don't like plowing in this game. It's my least favorite thing to do. Especially with such a small plow. So I might actually seek some help with this. Eventually I might hire a worker. I'll go ahead and get the field started though, just to demonstrate the plow in case you haven't seen it or you're curious. I will go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to jump in the Fiat though, since it does have a little bit more power. I'm actually going to have to move my seeder out of the way. And judging by the size of this plow, this is going to take a while. Well, this field is nearly done. There's a couple spaces, or a few spaces, down at the other end, or on the way to the other end of it, that were missed. So I'll go ahead and grab these. Now normally what I would do if my sower also fertilized, I will fertilize the field before I plow it, and that way when I go to sow it, it'll fertilize it the second time, because you only need to fertilize twice. The game will only let you fertilize twice. But in this case, my sower doesn't have a fertilizer, so that's why I plowed the field first before I fertilized it. But the next step actually is to do the fertilizing. So that's what we're going to do next. But yep, this field already looks better. The soil and everything, it's all good. Oh, looks like I missed one little spot here. Alright, that's a done deal. So what I'm going to do, since I've already talked it over with the owner of the store, I'm just going to go ahead and drop my plow off at the store. Instead of leaving it out in the elements, I'm going to drop it off over here. But I am curious about one thing. You do actually have to pay for the maintenance of your equipment on your farm. This is something that's new for Farming Simulator. You had to pay for it on FS17, but it would automatically the equipment would automatically maintain itself, but you have to do it manually on FS19. So I'm just curious to see, after plowing that huge field, it's not huge, but for this plow it's considered huge. So I'm going to check and see what kind of shape this plow is in after plowing that whole field. The way you maintain your vehicles, by the way, if you don't know this, is you drop it in the box. It's different for each map. In a lot of maps, there will be an icon right here where you go to customize, sell, or do maintenance on your vehicles. But in this case, for this map, it's in here. So you have to go in here, go up to this icon, and actually it's not in bad shape. So that's good. That means I can plow the field a few more times before I have to pay for the maintenance on the plow itself. The reason why I was curious to see what kind of condition the plow is in is because you got to think about what this particular equipment is going through. A plow has got to be one of the most heavily abused pieces of machinery that a farmer owns. Think about it. When this thing's being used, it's taking a beating. I mean, it's pulling up the earth, it's pulling up all that topsoil. There's a lot of pressure on a plow, and so it takes a beating, and it's one of the things in your arsenal of equipment that's going to need the most maintenance, simply for that fact that it has taken a sheer beating each time you use it. And trust me, it makes a difference whenever it's not being maintained. It makes a huge difference, actually. So there we go, one plow. And actually, you know what? I told the owner that I was gonna put it in that other one, so I'm gonna put it in that other one. He might get upset if he sees it in this one. So let me put it under that other one over there. And yeah, eventually, like I said, eventually I am actually going to buy one of these coverings. Pavilion, shed, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to buy one eventually. I'm just not there yet financially to do so. Space is also a factor. What I'm thinking is that if I stay here and I continue to do what I've been doing, I would like to clear out enough space in those woods to place different things, like maybe a house, maybe some sheds, maybe a hayloft, maybe even eventually some animal pens, but we just got to see how things go. And again, I'm talking about in the distant future. It's going to take a long time for me to get to that point. with the difficulty setting, the fact that I started out with nothing, it's going to take a while. So let's jump in this other tractor here and start fertilizing. All right, that's looking good. I'm liking it. And I just want to check something out real quick with my sower. Okay, we need at least 110 horsepower, and our new tractor has 143, so we're good there. This is a really nice mod I want to add here. I'm very pleased with it. And honestly, had I known that I could bring the horsepower up so high on this mod, I probably just would have bought 2 of these and it would have been a lot cheaper than buying that Fiat. I just wasn't thinking whenever I initially made that choice to get the Fiat. But the horsepower, if anything, is a little bit higher on the Fiat. So it's not a complete loss. It is what it is. And I also have 2 different tractors, 2 very different tractors. So that's also pretty good in itself. But now we can actually begin to sow the field here. And I'm not sure if I've ever actually used this sower either. This might also be a first. Well, it's not very wide, but it is cultivating and sowing the field simultaneously. So that's going to save time in the long run. It is a pretty nice machine. I'm pretty happy with it. But it is about the same width of the plow, so this is going to take some time to do as well. Well, I've got to say that this was a lot more entertaining and easy going, breezy than plowing the field. I did miss some spots here and there. I've got to go around a few times and get. But overall, it wasn't bad. The tractor handles this cultivator slash sower very well. No problems, no complaints. Because of the unique shape of the field, it's no problem to get it done fairly quickly. And it's important that I get every square inch of the field because I have invested the lime, I've invested the fertilizer, I've invested time with the plow to cover every bit of area in the field. I also therefore want to cover every bit with seed. So in this case, perfection is a good thing. Otherwise, it's kind of wasteful, you know, not to take advantage of every last drop of space in this field. And that's that. That is one sowed field right there. So I'm going to go ahead and haul all my equipment over here back to the store. And it's kind of ironic, on the end of the first episode I was saying that I didn't have anywhere to put my equipment. And not only did I not have anywhere to put my equipment, I also didn't have a place to call home, a house. But now I actually do have a place for all my equipment, but I still don't have a house. But that's okay, because we're getting there. Boy, look at that field right there. All those weeds. Tell you something. If I had that field, it would be in much better shape than that. 50% fertilized, 100% weed, and it's withered. What a waste. What a waste of land. Don't worry, field. If you ever belong to me, I'll take much better care of you. And the last piece of equipment would be the harvester. The tipper is just going to sit in the woods right now until I get it filled up with logs. And then I'll be making another trip to the sawmill. Yeah, I gotta say, it's very cozy, but not for me. Alright everyone, that's gonna do it for this episode with the Bumpkin Farmer. Go and take one last look at the field here. Alright, and I'll discuss the next episode. Alright, the next episode, I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly certain, we're going to have not only the germination of our crop that we just planted. We're also going to have some weeds to deal with. So in the next episode, I'm sure we'll be de-weeding this field. Alright, but while we're waiting on things to grow and mature, we are going to be in the forest here. We are going to be cutting down trees and trying to make as much profit as we can off of that while we wait for our crop to grow. So until then, I want to say thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time. And Jared here with Wine of the Nations Rage, signing out, so on and so forth. I'll see you guys next time. Later.